Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you an OP Dark Knight build in Baldur's Gate 3. This is going to be a Shadow Paladin, multi-classing with the Sorcerer and the Paladin. It's extremely powerful and it works well in Honor mode as well. And it gets up to level 5 spells, so it's pretty solid. Now the first thing we have to decide on is if we want heavy armor or Constitution saving throw proficiency, and that's what we're going to start with. I prefer Sorcerer for the Constitution saving throw proficiency. You hold your concentrations a little bit better, but if you prefer heavy armor, you can start with the Paladin. As for cantrips, I would recommend having Booming Blade, extremely powerful. Also, Mage Hand is nice to be able to throw health potions and water bottles. We also have Shocking Grasp to get away, and Firebolt if we need something to explode. We can also take Bone Chill. I have Mistress Spells installed, but you don't need Mistress Spells whatsoever. We'll be sticking to base game in this video. We're going to take the Shield spell, and Magic Missile just gives us some extra survivability early on in the game, which is nice. And with the Shadow Magic Sorcery, we get Superior Dark Vision, as well as the Strength of the Grave. When you reach 0 health points, you regain 1 instead of becoming down, so pretty nice. And for ability scores, we got 16 Dexterity, 14 Constitution, 10 Intelligence, Wisdom, and 16 Charisma. Dexterity works really well here. Valor Eluve is a really good weapon that we can use. If you really want to, we can take a, you can go strength-based, but this is going to give us higher armor class if we're wearing medium armor. If you're doing the Paladin to start with heavy armor, you could put those points from Dexterity into Strength. Level 2 gives us our first meta magics, and we're going to take Twin Spell and Distance Spell, increasing the range of our spells, and also Twinning Haste is really good. We also got more spell selection here. I like to have Thunder Wave for the pushback. Mage Armor can also be nice since we don't have any Draconic Resilience, and something like Ice Knife when we get Silence can also work well, or the Chromatic Orb, but I think Thunder Wave works best here. And once we hit level 3, we get the most powerful ability here, which lets us attack twice and also then cast a spell with our Quicken spell. So with this, we get to choose the meta magic Quicken spell, bonus action spells, enough said. We also get access to level 3 spells here. Scorching Ray being a really useful one, and we can actually stack up Arcane Acuity really easily if you have the Hat of Fire Acuity, which you can get in Act 2. Hold Person is also a great spell to have. You can hold a creature still. And then also Shadow Blade. It's going to be the highest damage in this, so you can take it. If you don't want to take it, that's fine too. You can always replace your Thunder Wave and take Shadow Blade, which is just better bang for your buck, 2d8 of damage. You don't have to do this, but I want to show you how powerful it does get. It's possibly the strongest build now with Baldur's Gate 3's patch 8. At level 4, we get ourselves another choice in cantrip. Friends of you that face the party can work nicely. I also like Minor Illusion to group enemies together. For our next level spell, we're going to go with Hold Person, although you can take Misty Step. That's another really useful spell to go with. And for our feat here, we're going to go with an increase. There's a couple options. We can go with a Charisma increase, a +5 to our initiative with the Alert feat, or the Savage Attack and reroll her damage die. I think the increase of Charisma is best because this gives us better spell casting. And also, once we get the Paladin, we get the Spell Command, which is going to be based off our Charisma as well. So we'll go with that there. Level 5 gives us our level 3 spells here. We can get Lightning Bolt, which I think is the best choice here. Fireball and Counter Spell. So it's a lot of really good ones. And as mentioned, Haste is also great because Haste can give us that extra, we can twin it to ourselves and one other to give it an extra action and +2 to armor class, increased movement speed. Very good. Even in honor mode, if you do this on yourself and another caster, you can cast extra spells, which is always good. So we're going to take Lightning Bolt. Counter Spell is a really highly wanted spell, though, too, to have in this. And level 6 gives us a really nice ability. So the Hound of Ill Omen. I got a mod installed for the Cat of Ill Omen, but it's the exact same here. So this does require 3 sorcery points and a bonus action to bring it in. And with that, we're going to take a Counter Spell, Haste, or Fireball. I just think Counter Spell brings the biggest benefit to this build. And then with our next level here, what we can do is we can actually go in and take the Paladin now. And this is going to be one of 2 options. So we can go with the Oath of Vengeance here, which is nice because then we can take off Hold Person and we'd get it from the Vengeance Paladin. And the Crown Paladin's nice too, it gives you Spiritual Weapon, but I think the Vengeance Paladin actually works better here, so that's what we're going to roll with. Level 2, Divine Smite. This is going to be extremely powerful, so highly recommend using your spells. That Necrotic does just come from the sword there. Highly recommend using your spell slots in Divine Smite and turning the reaction on. We get a Fighting Style too at level 2. Defense is good if you're wearing armor and you're not going to go with the clothing option, which I'd highly recommend. So the +1 armor class while wearing that. And if you're going to go with a 2-handed weapon, Great Weapon Master is quite nice too. And dueling will increase our damage by 2. I think defense ends up being the best fighting style here. Now we get to choose spells here, and we got increased amount of spell selection because of our higher charisma. So Divine Favor, all the smites, Command being the most important spell there, and either Bless or Shield of Faith. Even Cure Wounds can be okay too. But not necessary. Level 3 gives us the Vow of Enmity, which we can apply to ourselves to get advantage on attack rolls for 10 turns. Pretty crazy. We also can't get hit with disease. We get Bane and Hunter's Mark, which is a nice bonus action ability. And we'll put on the heal there. Not going to be something we do often, but it's another option we have because we do have lay hands charges to heal. Into next level, we'll just take Shield of Faith. And for this feat, I would recommend grabbing another ability score improvement on Charisma to 20 is nice, but Alert for the +5 to Initiative can also be extremely useful. You want to always going first if you're a Sorcerer. And level 5 gives us that extra attack, and we get Hold Person and Misty Step. So now when we take another level of, we could take another level of Sorcerer and then remove the Hold Person from their spell list. So we'll go ahead with taking the Branding Smite there. You can also go with the Aid, because we can upcast this with our higher spell slots. We give our team extra health, which is really good to have. And this is where we got to make a decision. We can go, this is probably better, the Aura of Protection, giving a +4 or +5 if you have the Birthright hat on, as a Charisma modifier to saving throws. Extremely useful. This also has its benefits, because this will give us that level 5 spell slot. This is where the hard decisions come in. I know there's a hard decision on the start. All of these builds work well. It just depends. Do you want to specialize more in being a defensive protector with the Paladin, or do you want to just blast hard with a Sorcerer and get even more spell casting? I'm going to show off the more offensive version, but I do personally think the Paladin is better to go with because that extra ability is really nice. This gives us extra crowd control with Ice Storm, which will create ice surfaces for enemies to slip on. Confusion's also a nice spell, but I think with the Ice Storm, we got a lot of crowd control going on, because with the Shadow Magic Sorcerer, you get the spell to cast Darkness here using our sorcery points, so it can get pretty crazy pretty quickly. Now, what we're going to roll with, I guess I should mention, I'm using the Valkyrie Armor by Ren mod just for that appearance during the video at the start. Now, as for gear, I actually think the Pyro Quickness hat works well here, because this will give us an extra bonus action for our spell casting, which is nice whenever we deal a fire spell with a fire spell. Also, you can use the Hat of Fire Acuity. Also, the Helmet of Arcane Acuity. However, the Gloves of the Battle Mage's Power got fixed on patch 8, so when you hit a target with a spell or a cantrip that uses a weapon, and a little nice thing about this is Divine Smite and Booming Blade also count, and if we use Shadow Blade. Shadow Blade's main attack will stack us the Arcane Acuity, so we got a couple great options here. I like the extra Fire Hat, the extra bonus action Fire Hat, because we do have good uses for our bonus action, but the Helmet of Arcane Acuity or Fire Acuity can work well, and early game, the Haste Helmet can also work well. Also, just the Cloak Protection, or you can use the Deathstalker Mantle if you're the Dark Urge. Armor of Agility, since this is medium armor, this gives us the ability to spellcast, adding our full Dexterity modifier to armor class, so that's 23. You could also put on the Gloves of Dexterity to get our armor class of 24 if you want to, and dump your dex, put it into strength. Because you don't need to use the Gloves of Battle Mage's Power, as there's hats that will give us that Arcane Acuity, which gives a +10 to our spell save DC and spell attack rolls. But this is really useful. And the Boots of Stormy Clamor can stack Reverberation on the enemy, which is really good. We become a bit of a defensive ability or helper here. I also like the Ring of Elemental Infusion, because it will actually give you the thunder damage from Booming Blade on your attack. Outside of honor mode, though, it doesn't really work properly. So I think at that point, it's either best to use the Shadow Cloaked Ring, which will give us additional 1d4 damage against lightly or heavily obscured targets, which we get shadows. And then if we want to further enhance this is actually a crazy combination, is we can add in the Strange Conduit Ring. So the Strange Conduit Ring, when concentrating on a spell, the wearer's attacks deal an additional 1 to 4 psychic damage. So if we hold Darkness up, this gives a 1d4, and then another 1d4. So that's extra psychic damage on our attacks. And if we're going to do that, we can actually go even one step further and take the Diadem of Arcane Synergy whenever we inflict a condition, which is really easy because we got Reverberation, we got Ability Drain, things like that. You would get Arcane Synergy, which adds a Charisma modifier to our weapon damage. So a +4 to our ranged weapon, our melee weapon attacks is great. So we get a 1d4, a 1d4, and just extra 4. That's going to be pretty offensive. We can also add in, if you didn't want the Arcane Acuity, you can use the Helldust Gloves for an extra 1d6, which will really buff up our damage, give us a lot of extra damage. Now, the Sword of Chaos here, gives us additional health on hit. I think that there's a better option for us with Shadow Blade. That's what we took it. If we take the Marika Heshka here, and I meant to take off the hold person there and the leveling, but what we can do is we can take the Arcane Battery and give ourselves a free level 5 Shadow Blade. So this is double upcasted, because this will give us now the 4d8 version, then we get the 1d8 bonus from the Shadow Cloaked Ring. And once we have a concentration, it's another 1d4 bonus. That'll get us up to 50 damage. And if we have the Resonance Stone, that doubles it. And if we wanted, this gets crazier. So the Shadow Blade ability there, you have advantage on attack rolls against lightly or heavily obscured targets, similar to our Shadow Cloak Ring there. Darkness will give us that extra ability. And if we're using the Eyes of the Dark, this gives us the ability to cast darkness without worry, because it gives us the dark vision as well, so we can see within it. I also like to have the Hellrider longbow for the +3 to initiative, but I'll show you what this looks like in combat. There's also, I guess I should mention, some good complement gear if your other teammates want something like the Steelwatcher helmet to avoid being blinded, the Shar Spear of the Night of Evening, which gives you cannot be blinded, and there's also a ring which will give you the ability to not be blinded, so 3 of your teammates can also hide out in your darkness. And you can also make a permanent Shadow Blade. I did do a video on my channel on how to make a permanent Shadow Blade, so you can even take this another step further. And before you get yourself into a fight, go into your reactions, and under the reaction tab here, you're going to go down and make sure that you have your Divine Smite on reactions. Be mindful that they don't scale past the 4th level, so don't put level 5 smites on, and be cautious about putting level 4 ones on. I'd recommend just leaving it level 3. So we do have some really good spells that we don't want to burn through, so yeah, the Divine Smite reaction is really nice, just giving us that extra damage on our attacks, so we can just attack normally. We can actually get it stacked up on our booming blades as well. Now, for our first turn in combat, my personal recommendation is setting up some sort of crowd control, whether it be an ice storm to create difficult terrain, whether it be the darkness to be able to make everyone blind, and then you and your shadow dog can go crazy. I also like to set up Hunter's Marks. That's additional psychic damage on an attacker, and that's going to be doubled, so yeah, it goes pretty hard. Now we're just going to drop down darkness, because I think that that's probably the best choice. We're a Shadow Paladin after all, and we got a weapon that enhances our abilities. Also, we're blinding them all, so the thing is, once you apply a blind, it's going to apply the reverberation on them. It only really works on 1 per attack, but it's extra damage. Now with the booming blade, you can see there, it's a 48. We do have that concentration, so it's a 48 plus 8 plus 1d4 plus 1d4 plus 4 plus 2d8 thunder, and then when they move, they take 3d8 thunder. That's a lot of damage. And not to mention that psychic damage is doubled. So we got advantage, because with the Shadow Blade, you get advantage on attack rolls against slightly obscured targets. This is going to hit extremely hard. 128 on that there. That is, yeah, crazy. And they, yeah, it's strong. Then we got our Divine Smite, so we can just go ahead here with an attack. Always go after the high value targets. Boom. And the Divine Smite damage did pay off there, giving us that extra bit of damage. We got a bonus action though, and that's what we got spells for. So then we can go ahead here with, we should have replaced our hold person with a fireball or something like that. But even so, we'll just go with a big blast like this, and you can always upcast this as well. But boom, some extra damage. That took another one, and it gave us Arcane Synergy again. We got Arcane Acuity, yeah, and then we got the Eyes of the Dark. So a lot of buffs up on our character, giving us that increase to our spell save DC. Is up to 22 now, and this can go upwards of 26. And our goodest boy here gets benefits from being in darkness. It's immune to being blinded, so we want to have it in blindness because it doesn't have a good attack chance. But with darkness, it does. And we applied the Omen of Acid so we can recover our sorcery points here, which is really nice. It's the biggest benefit of having that dog there. And you'll see they'll actually attack us sometimes in darkness, even though they're blinded, so they don't have a really good chance of hitting us. But typically they do throwing attacks. And also having Cure Wounds is, or being able to counterspell anything is nice. We're not going to go with that there, but it's an option. And we're in our domain with this fool in front of us, so we may as well just go with our Booming Blade to finish them off. Full health. Yeah, 68 damage. Crazy. The best part about this is we're pretty much untouchable in our darkness pocket, and we get those advantage on our attacks. And we're applying Divine Smites. That was 80 flat out damage. Didn't need the Divine Smite reaction to finish them off. But as you can see, extremely strong. I would also recommend using some spells from time to time if you're able to get in a good position to drop a spell, because we do got that on our side. We also got the Inquisitor's Might, which can give additional radiant damage and dazed targets, which means our hold person is more likely to land. But what we'll do is we'll just go with another Booming Blade, because we get a Booming Blade per action. Oh, we got Mind Broken. That's very unfortunate. What's nice about our dogs is it's also got the Umbral Tangle here, which can group people and keep them in place with the Shadow Cursed Vines. All right, so I guess we're pretty messed up. We're slowed there, so we're just going to go ahead with a Booming Blade, get our Arcane Synergy back. And then we got an extra, I guess we don't have an extra attack there or a bonus action, so that's unfortunate. Our Shadow Magic Hound was able to get an Omen of Fire off on this target, so it's got 32 health left. What we're going to do is if you get the Lift Ability free cast, that gives you a free level 5 spell, so we can do our Scorching Ray and hopefully finish them off and then pick off at that target there. So boom, that was enough. And we got our sorcery points back. So yeah, the Shadow Magic Dark Knight Paladin. It's got spell casting. It's got the strongest melees in the game because of Shadow Blade. It's got darkness. It's got darkness that powers up our Shadow Blade. It's got our Nimbus. It's got a lot of everything going on. And it's actually my favorite new build and multi-class to use in patch 8 of Baldur's Gate 3. Previously, I used to love the Draconic Elemental Sorcerers multi-class with Paladins, but I think Shadow Magic is much better, thanks to Shadowblade. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.